having picks, that's one of those things where right now it's kind of a comeback, ruining my beautiful record. But this is going to be a card that tries its best to follow it up. I think the main event here with Dominic Reyes and Yuri Prochazka has a lot riding on it. We could definitely big these fighters up in terms of their history and just MMA in general, and that's going to be fun when the time comes here. But when you look at the prelim, it's just a lot of dangerous fighters that love to throw. If you want to look at the UFC matchmaking for the last 2 weeks, we had the Shanghai PI, the group of fighters. A lot of them did lose, but they all lost. But at the same time, I think we saw them get those jitters out of the way, see what it's like to fight on the big time stage, and they all really did try to go for broke there, right? Against fighters that we really did say that should have certain advantages. Even with Liang Na, I think that was the fight where we pretty much said, fight the distance, stay disciplined, don't get in close. And the moment she got in close, she got boxed up really close in the clinch, taken down at will, and was even trying to get out of there in the first round, but then just exhausted, right? Like she could barely keep going. And then you look at the rest of them, I think that's something that they're gonna have to learn, that this is a whole new level, a whole new ball game. So even outside of that main card, like we said, so many fun fights, and hopefully this one holds up to that bargain. We got the first one on the docket here is Luke Sanders and Felipe Colares. And it's kind of a difference of styles, right? We know Cool Hand Luke. What's he bringing to the table? That big, powerful left hand. I think in the past we've seen it find success. And, I think at this point you have to realize that the UFC is a different ball game, right? Even in terms of people's chins and the way to avoid, say, big one-handed type strikers that are coming in like that. But Colares is one of those guys that's had a really iffy UFC career, right? We're going to see him use some body kicks, but taking this fight to the ground and up against the fence is probably his best bet. You look at his fight with Montel Jackson. He got taken down 11 times. He definitely was not in his best place when it came to the striking, but I did like what he kind of did at a distance. The chin was there, and that's going to be really important in this fight, because I think the difference there is Montel Jackson and Luke Sanders. Like, if he can ride this fight out to the later rounds and maybe get a bit more momentum on his side, this is a fight that can maybe go his way. When you look at Luke Sanders, one of his best performances ever was probably the Renan Barão fight. And when you look at the Renan Barão fight, the first round didn't really go his way. And Renan Barão is one of the best first round fighters you'll see. But when you take a look at the adjustments that were made in the second round, and if you go back and watch that fight ever, you can even watch the corner pretty much tell Luke Sanders exactly what he needs to hear. And it's like, get by these kicks, get by these lunging strikes and start landing your own. And the moment he started doing that, he was finding a home for his big power shots. And Barão has that questionable chin now, and he dropped him pretty cleanly. And I think that was a significant example of where, good coaches and cornermen who are watching the fights and being able to see those details are able to convince the fighter that, like, this is clearly your ticket to win. You need to take it. You need to push. You need to get by these kicks. And that's exactly what he did. And so, funny enough, a very similar fight against not really an ex-UFC champion at bantamweight. So in that sense, you will kind of want to give a bit of an edge to Luke Sanders here, because I think the striking will be on his side. Unfortunately, when it comes to the grappling, it's going to have to go the other way, because I do think that Colares, if he uses some distant kicks, if he can maybe get this cardio down, work the body, start getting up against the fence more, completely eliminate that power left hand, he has a shot at winning this fight. Make him fight your fight, especially for those rounds 2 and 3, where maybe you can start riding his body, get his back, things like that. Luke Sanders should be a pretty good wrestler. So this is where I think the wrestling and grappling classic matchup could have some play, but it's hard to go against Luke Sanders right now. I don't like the 3 fights in just that little bit of time and that much time. But at the same time, I think this is one for him to win. And unfortunately, if he doesn't, I think we're going to see on both ends really to be on the hot seat and be fighters that the UFC doesn't really need to keep around anymore, which should make this a pretty good barn burner fight for both guys trying to get that UFC win. For me, I am leaning Luke Sanders. I don't think that he's going to have too much trouble in the striking department. I think the wrestling should be able to keep it on the feet for as long as he needs to. And, we saw the finishing ability in the second round as well against Barão. So we know that as long as he has those opportunities, listens to his corner, manages his cardio, there's a lot of advantages here in this fight for him. And so, I'm going to quickly take a look at the lines here, because I haven't yet. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised to see Colares as a favorite just based on some of the body of work. But at the same time, it's just a little tough to go against the guy who's seen a lot more. And yeah, plus 115 for Colares and minus 140 for Luke Sanders. So again, not surprised at all. I do not believe that Luke Sanders would have been anywhere close to minus 200. That's for sure. So, looking at this line, I'm happy with it. And if I had to pick, I'm going with Luke Sanders here. At the same time, body kicks, keep that distance until you can really feel that need to push, get it up against the fence and work some of that jiu-jitsu. And maybe we can see an upset for the Team Nogueira fighter and Felipe Colares.